Christmas time is supposed to be a joyous occasion, spending time with family, receiving presents, and eating good food, but it can also be a time that disturbing things can happen. In today's video, I have 5 short stories about scary things and events that happen on Christmas time, from haunted history to a story from a Reddit user. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I am a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in the videos. Now, if you like creepy things such as scary stories, conspiracies, aliens, true crime, all that kind of stuff, then you may like this channel, because that's what I talk about, and then I draw what I talk about, like I said before. Now, nothing in these videos is meant to be insensitive to the victims or the victim's family, but if you are a sensitive person, probably recommend not coming here and having a look at my channel, as some things can be quite disturbing, and that's just what I like to do. I am a very disturbed person, and yeah, I like to portray that and I get a kick out of doing that sort of stuff. With that being said, let's get on with the video. A photographer named Hubert C. Provand captured a spirit photo in 1936 in Norfolk, England, of the brown lady that haunts the Rainham Hall every Christmas time. Provand asked to stay at the hall to do an article on it for the Country Life magazine that he worked for at the time. The story of the brown lady is of a woman named Lady Dorothy Townsend, aka Walpole, a mistress of the manor in the 18th century and sister to Robert Walpole, the first British Prime Minister. This hall was built in the early 1600s and expanded a century later. Now, Dorothy was labelled the Brown Lady because every vision that anyone saw of her, or apparition that anyone saw of her, was said to have seen her in a brown dress, which is apparently the dress that she died in. In 1899, John, who was the 6th Marquess Townsend, inherited the estate but couldn't really afford it, so he sold off the art collection within the hall and married a rich woman named Gladys Southhurst in 1905. In 1921, John died and the Townsend's family moved back in, and then this is when sightings of the Brown Lady around Christmas time was seen. But the sighting of the Brown Lady was first recorded in 1835. A visitor, Marge Loftus, saw a shadowy woman dressed in brown with sunken eye sockets. The following year, Captain Frederick Marionette encountered a mist of the Brown Lady and fired his gun at it, which got lodged in the doorframe behind her apparition. Even when Gladys was there, her son encountered the ghost lady, so Lady Townsend, in between 1686 and 1726, married Charles Townsend, a very cruel and angry man, that when he found out about her affair, he locked her in her chambers and refused to let her leave the hall until her death from smallpox. Is this a hoax, fake story, or real? What do you think? Now, this story comes from Ranker.com, and there is apparently a haunted house in Ludington, Michigan, that is haunted by a group of ghosts from the Stark family. The most dominant ghost being of a crazy, eccentric lady named Vera Stark that resided and died in the home. Now her ghost appears usually around Christmas time. She was crazy in life and just as crazy in death, as her ghost can be seen in a fur coat picking flowers in the front yard. Her daughter, who died in the home's gymnasium, can be also seen walking the halls of the home. The current owners opened the home to historical tours, but the ghosts apparently didn't like it and activity went crazy in the home, which ended up causing problems, so they knocked it on the head. The 13th century manor, Roos Hall, near Beccles in Suffolk's countryside, has a very infamous, terrifying paranormal story of a headless horseman who shows his ugly head, no pun intended, every Christmas Eve. As soon as the sun goes down, the headless horseman appears on his carriage with none other than 2 headless horses. On the property where the hall is a huge oak tree which is fenced off to stop people from getting to it. Where this tree is now was once a gibbet, which is a form of public execution where they lock someone in a metal cage and they are left to die from exposure to the elements. This gibbet was responsible for hundreds of deaths of local criminals, but once the tree was put in its place, it was then used to hang people. The Headless Horseman isn't the only thing spotted on the grounds. On and off, a woman in a white dress, why is it always the white dress, has been seen walking around the tree 6 times to summon the devil, and a pale young girl can be seen waving from the first floor window. The manor was owned and built by the de Roos family around 1264, and they were justice seekers for the land and people. They sentenced the criminals to death. It was rebuilt by Sir Thomas Colby in 1583, which is what you see today, and because there has been so many owners, it's hard to place who the people are that haunt the manor or where the Headless Horseman came from. Hever Castle, which was approximately built in 1270, resides in the Kent countryside in England. In 1460, Henry Bolan came into possession of Hever Castle. He had a son, Thomas, who changed his name later on to Bolan, married the daughter of the Duke of Norfolk, Elizabeth Howard, and they had several children, one being Anne Boleyn. Anne became the Queen of England from 1533 to 1536 and was the second wife to King Henry VIII. Henry wanted a son, but Anne couldn't give him one, so the marriage started to fall apart. Then Anne got wrongly accused of adultery and was beheaded at the Tower of London on the 19th of May, 1536, which was ordered by her husband, Henry VIII. Anne's ghost likes to appear on Christmas at Hever Castle in her headless form. She is said to be walking the halls with her head under her arm. Anne's ghost has also been spotted at her resting place of the Church of St. Peter ad Vincula, Blickling Hall, the bridge across Eden Lake, and under a huge oak tree where apparently Henry and Anne met. All sightings of Anne in these locations are headless. A tourist that visited Hever Castle, 26-year-old Liam Archer, was taking photos inside and caught a ghost hand by a fireplace, and he suspects it's the hand of Anne Boleyn. This story is from a Reddit user that explains her terrifying Christmas story. At the time, this girl was 14 years old and her family, parents and little sister and brother, were driving back home from a restaurant which was about a 45-minute drive on Christmas night. About 20 minutes into the trip home, her father pulls into a servo to grab some cigarettes and have a toilet break. She stayed in the car while her family got out, so she just played games on her phone. After 10 minutes had passed, her family still wasn't back, so she looked out the window and saw a man staring at her in the car. He startled the absolute shit out of her and she immediately became alarmed. Apparently his face was completely plain with absolutely no expression and seemed to be about 5'9" and middle-aged. Once he noticed that she was looking at him, he started walking over to the car, but just as he took a few steps, her family came back out to the car. Her father had an argument with the cashier, which is what took the extra time. When she looked out the window to the strange man outside, he was still staring, but this time he had an annoyed look on his face. They drove off, but she couldn't shake the image of the man. It creeped her out. They got home and everyone went to bed, but she stayed up in her bedroom to watch TV. Later that night, a storm had brewed outside and was well and truly in effect when she heard something hit her window. She didn't think anything of it and thought it was just debris from the storm, so she just got up to check anyways, and she looked outside, and what she saw was a man standing beside her parents' car looking up at her bedroom window, and she recognized the man. It was the man from the servo. This time he was smiling up at her. She did the only thing she could and screamed at the top of her lungs, and her dad rushed in and was wondering what was happening, and she told him the story of the man at the servo, and now he's here. So her dad takes a baseball bat and goes outside to look around, and the man was found in their shed. They rang the police and he was arrested and taken away. The next day, her father was checking the house and shed to see if anything was taken or damaged, and they found the back door handle had been forcefully damaged but not completely broken. Who would have known what the man would have done if he'd happened to get inside the home? Now the question is, was it the man from the servo that followed them home, or was it a different man that happened to be coincidentally there and looked exactly the same as the man from the servo? Tell me your thoughts on this supposed true Reddit story. Now, the illustration that I decided to do for this video today is of a creature that has dressed up as Santa. Maybe he had stolen Santa's outfit, because he's clearly got Santa's head in his hand, and he has done some alterations so it fits him very well, and now he's marching around in Santa's outfit. And he's got like this present box on his head, and this particular monster, because I made this thing very like sort of like 3D and moving, so his head pops out from pushing the little stick from, well, not the stick, but you know what I mean, the little piece of paper that I left attached to the head of this monster with a stopper so it doesn't go any further. I put that at the back so you can like pop him up and down into the present. So this thing's got a very long neck, and he basically walks around and reveals his head, pops his head out of this present box, which is basically like, hey, I'm a present, you know, look at me, I'm a Christmas present, when he's not. He's just a hideous monster, and it would scare anybody that he would show that to. And yeah, this eyeless monster has killed Santa, and he's parading his head around, and he's having a great time. He's having a great time with whatever he's, doing. So that's what I decided to do for today, and then I put the Merry Christmas at the top, and I traced font. I'm not a font person. I struggle to do nice handwriting and fonts, so I ended up just printing out some fonts that I liked, and I just traced them onto some paper, and then I just colored them the way that I wanted to. So yes, I cheated there, but hey, I don't do that very often, so haha. So hopefully you enjoyed those facts and the story at the end. And here in Australia where I am, it is going to be Christmas tomorrow. I know that, I live in the future, and a lot of you will have Christmas in a couple of days. But for me, it is tomorrow, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful Merry Christmas. Hopefully you stay safe this Christmas, and you eat lots of good food, and you catch up with family and all that good stuff. And I will be back for the end of this year to release a video just before we cross over into 2024. But I will be treating that video like it's a brand new year and a brand new start, so to speak. And I'm hoping to come back next year with some more horrific stories, and hopefully I'm going to sort of up my game a little bit and bring you some more absolutely terrifying stories and more terrifying drawings. So yeah, stay tuned for that with, a couple of little tweaks to my channel to hopefully improve it. Well, I don't know if it's an improvement, but it'll just be some different little tweaks. So that is it from me. Hopefully you watch whatever is left of this video, and if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Dislike it, I couldn't care less, because any interaction goes towards my algorithm to help find other people who like this content as well and would like to watch this sort of stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.